The man who held, as I said, second position throughout that race. So they, again, as far as the race victories concerned, are the men to watch. Veda Pratama then starts from pole position. Pratama, our race one winner, and by a dominant margin as well. He was never troubled, took advantage of the scrapping behind him in 2020. It is Veda Pratama, the race one winner at the Indonesian round, who lines up from pole position for the battle between Hakim Danish and Shinya Ezawa, separated by 6 points ahead of this 11th and final race. Race 2 of the final round of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup gets underway. We watch to see who will claim the whole shot. It's Veda Pratama, the race one winner and pole sitter, who is the first away. Carter Thompson into second position. So there, as there were on the grid, Hakim Danish, Ezawa, his championship rival, who is straight through and onto Danish's tail.
Just behind them. Yesterday we saw that the lead group broke away, and then it was a case of Pratama in the middle.
Right rider Fetasan has been dropped down to 7th position now. Rizwanto has come. That was here yesterday.
You're just seeing a black flag has been given now for the number 8. That's for Putra. He didn't manage to get to the starting grid in time, so he'll be black flagged and have to come back into the pit. So that's
to the race as far as he was concerned, and indeed this race as a whole, as Pratama makes the lunge back to the inside on Hakim Danish, who had initially led there at one stage on lap number 1. Ezawa's in the mix as well. This is where it gets tight, much tighter than it was in the early stages here yesterday, to be perfectly honest. 5 or 6 riders very much in that lead group and scrapping over the podium places early on, and they're queuing up, and there's contact already by the time we get to turn 16 on lap 1.
Yeah, we've already had 3 races today, and you can see there the 13, that's Hakim Danish.
Stuck up on the outside line, so Danish has got to get his head down now, because he has been cost positions majorly. Start of lap number 2 then, it's Shinya Ezawa trying to go around the outside of Nicholas' position, as they were yesterday. They're scrapping for 5th position here today.
But it's all about trying to get the big points if you're Ezawa on the number 21 machine, trying to get down the inside.
Yes, let's focus on how this group eventually way down to 15th place. You can see Lacan there in the background of the shot, he and gone, but no such luck this time around. He led every lap yesterday, did Pratama, but he's down in 6th position on lap number 3. 16th, as well as the Asia Talent Cup race 1 yesterday afternoon. Carter Thompson running wide, as he did, remember, onto the green paint in the case of race 1, but running wide over the curve that time around opens the door to Hakim Danish.
Overtaking opportunity, that was his favourite spot, and he's made a few moves into there.
Breakaway. He's not going to be picked off going in towards turn number 1, and the rest of the circuit doesn't necessarily present major opportunities for slipstreaming.
You can see there for Nicholas on the number 12 and then Pratama both into turn 1 coming very close as they make their way.
Slipstreaming.
You can see there for Nicholas on the number 12 and then Pratama both into turn 1 coming very close as they make their way through on Thompson and also Ezawa, so they're trying to make sure they can get to the front, but when you scrap...
Led race 1 from start to finish.
Yeah, from pole position, he's been impressive all the way through on the number 7 machine. Youngest rider in the field, but it's a rider worth keeping an eye on. When the championship could well be lost for Ezawa. You can see Carter Thompson trying to come down the inside. We've already seen that the number 7 of Pratama has been able to break away from Ezawa. He's kept in front of Carter Thompson, but he can't afford to make a mistake. He runs out.
Up at the head of the field. He won't mind if Veda Pratama comes through for the race lead on lap 6 coming up, because as long as he sticks with him and stays away from the reach and the clutches of Thompson and Ezawa, he'll be on his way to the Asia Talent Cup success. The question now is whether Danish is smart enough to work in tandem with Pratama just to try and build their gap for the remainder of this race.
Didn't fight back into turn 1. He understands that if they work together, they're not going to cost each other time. So you want to make clean moves in the
small capacity categories. The key is to keep up your momentum. The one thing you can't afford to do is see that momentum interrupted. Danish coming back through here on Pratama, but Pratama still maintaining
the fast lap of the race, but interestingly, a couple of tenths of a second faster than anything we had yesterday as well. So track conditions as good as they've been for the 8.
Through 14 and 15 in towards the tightest points on the circuit, turn 16. Ezawa now has got to really launch his attack to try and close down Pratama, and particularly
a good rider to be able to work with. But for Ezawa, he's already 1.3 seconds behind Danish now. That gap's only getting longer.
Yes, Danish is not going to be afraid of just going with Pratama. He will have seen that Pratama escaped away 6 seconds at the head of the field in race 1, and if he does the same again here and Danish can stay...
Just because of the nature of these bikes, so unless it comes down to a scrap at the front of the field with Danish and Pratama, you're not going to be able to catch them.
So we'll try Hardika there, who has gone down outside of the points paying position. So the second retirement of the race race after Putra was ordered back to the pits, and his race is going to end the season rather on a flat note with an uninspiring weekend after his championship challenge came to a halt yesterday.
That's a crash there for Trey Hardica, and easily done through that section of the track. Turn 2. Fortunate end to the season for him.
In now to lap number 8, less than a tenth of a second between Pratama and Danish. The gap down to less than a second now, though, to Shinya Ezawa. New personal best lap for Ezawa as he still continues to scrap with Carter Thompson, trying to have clear track in front of him to get his head down and close down Veda Pratama and Hakim Danish. But Danish at the moment not only looks like the championship winner for this season, but a potential race winner, just biding his time, remaining behind Pratama. You can see that he's letting off and choosing to brake earlier than Pratama just to leave him with track position because he doesn't need to hit the front.
And that's the difference. He's been able to say Ezawa trying to come through, and Thompson was all about making sure he can make that move. So good racecraft there from Hakim Danish.
It is still Ezawa and Thompson who hold, but increasingly looking likely as though these are the top 2 in this race, barring dramas, of course. And Danish from here may well just think, do you know what, second place and the champ. Plenty to work for further back as well between Gunmie as well as Adaki, and look at all the other riders. There's Wanso, Fadilla, Fetasan, Hafi.
Right now between them in the championship standings, but you have to say that for the ATC, it's all about making sure that the moments when you can make people step up and take notice of you, that you take advantage of it.
Hakim Danish with a new fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 43 flat. Shinya Ezawa a 1 Hakim Danish on 1 lap alone. And unless there are problems now, or unless these two really begin to hold one another up, Shinya Ezawa is seeing the Asia Talent Cup evaporate away with the 7 and the 13 at the head of the field.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to hold themselves up that much. It's going to be a case of if there's an instant between them, as it is for Hakim Danish. He's not willing to make that move right now.
The podium battle.
Yeah, and once again, as we've seen so many times in the past, the ATC, whenever you're battling, you're costing each other time. It's 9/10 of a second they lost the race leaders last time around, so 6 seconds in hand for Hakim Danish. He just needs to cruise the final quarter of this race, and no need to latch onto the back of Pratama and try and win the championship with a race victory.
But when you look further back, third position down, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second. The gap between each of the riders from third place is down to 8th. Then it's Wakamatsu and Gunmie. So still those places at very least can easily change. 2 seconds from 3rd to 13th, as it was just a few short laps ago. As far as the championship is concerned, well, Shinya Ezawa in 4th position, Hakim Danish.
Podiums in Europe as well in the junior GP paddock. So this has been a very complete season for him across the board. But now he just needs to make sure he can complete the race and get to claim this ATC title.
Yes, he has managed to lead the championship all the way since March, has Hakim Danish, despite that retirement from...
That's why he's going to be a rider worth keeping an eye on for the next few years. Obviously the minimum age limits have been rising in recent years for different classes of bikes, so he's going to be on Talent Cup bikes for the next while, but certainly you wouldn't be too surprised to see him.
Rather look, for the moment at least, as though he's settling in for 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, half a second behind, but 9 seconds in hand over his championship rival, so it's certainly no reason.
For a lap now to go.
Watch for the number 19 at Hafi as well, because he's been the rider that's slowly and surely picked off one after the other to
claim 3rd overall. But it is going to be Veda Pratama who exits the final turn to make it back-to-back victories and dominate his home round, the Indonesian round, the last of the season. And Hakim Danish crosses the line in the SETI 22 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup winner is Hakim Danish. Shinya Ezawa gets the final step on the podium, and
ATC riders, they grow quite a lot at this age as well, so for Hakim Danish, he's one of the riders to keep an eye on, so certainly he'll be another name that people will be paying attention to going forward. But right now it's all about Pratama as the race winner and Danish as our ATC winner.
Trophy presentations then about to be made to Shinya Ezawa for Veda Pratama ahead of Hakim Danish and Shinya Ezawa. As far as the your final championship classification and the main position change this afternoon, Veda Pratama leapfrogs Gunmie, and